Lawyer's reaction.
The legal videos that I posted in 2023 were crazy. They're actually one of the most viral videos that I've posted on any platform anywhere. And they were right here on YouTube Shorts because they were controversial. So I thought, what better way to start the new year than to discuss how some of the most viral videos of 2023 will help inform us about the law in 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the top 10 most controversial videos of the year with a more detailed legal explanation as to why my rulings came down the way they did. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna be saving the most controversial and the most viral video of them all for the very end. So be sure to subscribe and watch to the very end of this video. Just to give you some background, my name is Ugo Lord. I'm an attorney that has been posting videos on social media now ever since the pandemic. And I love being able to bring the law to my audience in a way that is completely affordable, entertaining, but most importantly, educational. Now, there are times where my videos are controversial, but at the end of the day, the law is the law. So I'm gonna use this opportunity in this long form video to explain why the law is the way that it is. I've worked on famous cases that when you bring them all together have won nearly $600 million for my clients. And I'm a little nervous to say this, fingers crossed, but as of 2024, I've not lost a single case in my 10-year career. So let's go ahead and jump right in by talking about our number 10 most controversial and viral video of the year. Let's see.
Lawyer's reaction.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reason why this video is controversial is because there's a great debate going on whether or not it is reasonable to break for an animal. Now, there are some people that say that you should just run an animal over, just kill it. That's apparently what some people say. And then, of course, there's the flip side to that argument, which is don't injure the animal. That's why you should brake, leave some distance behind the car in front of you so if they do break in an emergency, you don't hit them. That is why this video went viral, but also because it was so controversial. And here's the answer, ladies and gentlemen. The law says that if the animal is large enough where it could damage the vehicle and potentially even harm the occupants inside that vehicle, perhaps from airbags deploying, then it is completely reasonable to brake in order to avoid hitting that animal. But if the animal is so small, like a squirrel, for example, it would be unreasonable to hit the animal. So we know that this is a dog. This is a dog that can absolutely cause injury to the passengers inside the vehicle, definitely could cause significant damage to the vehicle itself. And consequently, it would be reasonable for that driver to hit the brakes, which is why it is so important to drive at a safe distance behind the car in front of you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it does make this scooter liable for all the damages that happen next. And can we also talk about the fact that this scooter had at least 10 business days to stop? I mean, at least maybe 9 if it was like a rush delivery, but it had so much time to stop and the motorcycle did not stop. So of course, the motorcycle is liable. Now let's go to video number 9.
Lawyer's reaction.
Ooh. Whew, sometimes these videos are difficult to watch, which is why I have to censor it out. Listen, I gotta comply with the guidelines. At the end of the day, this video became really controversial because we are dealing with security guards. Anytime I do a video about security guards or police officers, they tend to do very well because the audience is usually split on what they believe is justified. But if you look at this video carefully, you'll see that this woman either hit or almost hit the officer. In order for self-defense to be reasonable and justifiable, there has to be a fear or a threat of bodily injury. It doesn't always have to mean that there actually is physical contact, but the fear of physical contact is enough. So in this case, it doesn't matter whether or not she hit him or not. The fact that she tried to, it made it reasonable for him to then use non-lethal force in order to eliminate the threat. Yes, of course, it means that this officer was not guilty of committing any crimes. Now let's go to video number 8.
Lawyer's reaction.
Oh, I remember this video. Oh. The feathers, guys. It's the feathers.
In order to be charged,
it's the feathers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is another important video that we can use to learn more about in 2024. Now, the reason why I included this video, not only because it was super viral, I received so many comments that stated that this was not in America. It's not in America. The laws don't apply. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm only licensed here in the United States of America, meaning I'm only going to interpret US law to any of these videos, regardless of where they occur, even though it's true that this did not occur in America. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Yes, this person was transported into another dimension. They were literally transported into another land without their permission. But in order for it to be considered battery, it has to be some sort of offensive contact. Now, if you look at the videos, not only was this transportation happening, but look at all the feathers, look at all the glue. There are so many things in this video that is considered offensive. So absolutely, it would still be considered battery, even if there was not a physical person contacting them or a physical person touching them. Yes, it means that these pranksters would be guilty of battery. Let's go to video number 7.
Lawyers react.
This guy. Okay, you guys, now, have you guys seen this YouTuber? I mean, he's a famous YouTuber. He's a famous prankster. He does a lot of videos. He's literally just writing all of my content for me. Like, all of my content he writes, and I'm grateful for it. And in fact, I should cut him a check just to say thank you, because it allows me to write so much content, and of course, this video is no exception. Now, I think the reason why this video became so viral and so controversial is the reason why people were split is because they didn't know if that older man went too far. So let's go ahead and analyze the elements of self-defense. Reasonable fear or apprehension of bodily injury, proportional force in order to neutralize the threat. Now, if any creep comes up to your ear and starts blowing, I don't even know what that was. What was that? I don't even know. But if they start blowing it, yes, naturally, it's totally natural to be afraid. But I think the reason why this video is controversial is because people didn't know just how far this man could have gone in order to neutralize the threat. If you replay the video and really analyze it, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see that yes, he did turn around, he did put the guy in a chokehold, and he held him there until he realized he was no longer a threat. That is the key, ladies and gentlemen. You can't go too far and choke him out if there's no longer an ongoing threat. But the moment that you've stabilized the situation, you've neutralized the threat, and you've been able to assess and determine that there's no longer a threat, there's no one else around, there's nothing else happening, then legally you have to let the person go. If you look at what this man did, he really stayed within reason. He held him into that position. He realized that there was no longer a threat, and then he let him go. That's the important thing about the video, and that's why this man is not guilty of battery. All right, let's go to number 6. This is one of my favorite videos. Take a look.
Lawyers reaction.
1, 2, 3, 3. Go. Shut the fuck up.
By the way, these friends are bad influences.
I hope he pulls you over. Oh, he's pulling you over. Why?
Now, you gotta be pretty brazen to overtake a police officer, especially if you're overtaking a police officer in bad weather. Like, I don't know whose idea this was. Like, who said, you know what we're gonna do today? We are going to give this officer a reason to give us a bad day. That's exactly what happened. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the officer absolutely pulled over this young driver. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, it is a speed limit. It's not a speed suggestion. It's an actual limit, which means that you cannot exceed the posted speed limit. Now, I know many jurisdictions say, hey, listen, we can go 5 miles per hour above the speed limit, and it's fine. But that's not what the law says. The law does not give you a leeway of 5 miles per hour above the limit. In fact, the law says that this is a speed cap, meaning that you can go under the limit, not too under, because there are other laws that can control how slow you can go. But yes, you can go under the speed limit, but you just can't go over the speed limit. So even though this young man was going 60 in a 55, he was still breaking the law, and consequently, yes, he can still be found guilty of a traffic infraction. Now, many people ask me how to get out of speeding tickets. I'm gonna make another video about that later. This is gonna be an interesting topic. Make sure you subscribe to make sure you're ready to see that video later. Let's go on to the next video. Video number 5.
Lawyers reaction.
Cop scratched his Mustang spoiler.
Super controversial. Super controversial video. People did not like the answer to this video. People were actually angry. People were upset. They were furious with me. I'm just the messenger. I don't write the laws. I just talk about them. All right, you guys, there's a takings clause in the 5th Amendment of the Constitution, which essentially says that if the government takes your property, they must provide you just compensation for doing that. So the courts have looked at whether or not if the police damage your property while in execution of a search warrant or while doing something that they're lawfully supposed to do, whether that would be considered a takings under the 5th Amendment of the Constitution. And guess what the court ruled? I'm sure you can already guess by now. They ruled it is not a taking. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, courts have said that if the officers are there lawfully and if they're doing their job the way that they're supposed to be doing, and it happens to damage your property, even if it happens to completely destroy your property, it is still not considered a takings under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. We actually see cases like this that are very interesting when it comes to search warrants, where the police will end up destroying a home, completely destroying the home in order to execute a search warrant. Or let's say it's an arrest warrant where the home is completely destroyed in order to arrest somebody in the home. In fact, I did a video just like that, where a suspect was hiding in the attic and the police completely tore up the entire home in order to find the suspect. And of course, it was deemed that the police are not liable for that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, historically, it doesn't even matter how bad the police destroy your property. They can completely destroy the property entirely, and courts have held that it's still not a takings under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. However, ladies and gentlemen, there is a case brewing in the Fifth Circuit as we speak. The case is known as Baker versus City of McKinney, Texas. Now, this case is very fascinating because it has to do with a homeowner whose home was completely destroyed. The homeowner sued the city. The city said, not responsible. And ladies and gentlemen, ordinarily, the city would be right. But in a shocking decision, the court said, no, police department, you are liable, which now means that there's a precedent that breaks away from the norm. So what's gonna happen? Of course, it's going up to the Supreme Court. Let me read to you just a little bit about this case. Court documents say that Baker alleges extensive damage to her home resulted from the police department's standoff to capture a fugitive that was inside the home. Now, the home was completely destroyed. We're talking about broken windows, a damaged roof, landscaping, a blown out garage door, even the garage ceiling, the attic floor, the drywalls, they were all completely torn out. Not only that, this part is actually really sad. The homeowner's dog was left permanently blind and deaf because of the police gas that was thrown into the home and exploded. Very sad. The appliances were completely irreparable. Ceiling fans, plumbing, floor, hard surfaces, bricks even had to be replaced, ladies and gentlemen. Windows, blinds, fence, front door, garage door, everything in the home was destroyed. Now, we know ordinarily the police would not be liable, and that's what the lower courts held, that the city would not be liable. But the Fifth Circuit said, no way, Jose, this just went too far, and therefore we have to hold the city liable. So therefore, it's going to the Supreme Court. So unless you live in the Fifth Circuit, the old rule stands, meaning that the police department or the city would not be liable for any damages unless you're in the Fifth Circuit. Let's go to our next video. Viral video number 4.
Lawyer's reaction.
Oh, I remember this video.
Hey, if you look at shit away from my face for a moment.
Hey, come on. I thought we were on the... What the
Hey, go back here. Thank you, sir. Let me get all those badge numbers. Badge numbers names. Badge numbers names. Thank you, sir. Hey, don't touch me. I'm being innocent. What am I getting arrested for? I think it's time for you to go. Oh!
Here's another controversial video, ladies and gentlemen, and surprise, surprise, it involves police officers. I told you, those are the most controversial. Now, let's go ahead and analyze this case from the perspective of the officers. The officer, when they wrote up their report, said that this individual had assaulted them. So let's look at the legal definition of assault, because oftentimes there's this common misconception of what assault is. Assault does not need physical contact. Now, ladies and gentlemen, jurisdiction by jurisdiction sometimes will adopt the word assault just because that is just the common language, but the legal definition of assault is the fear or apprehension of bodily injury. It does not require physical contact. So the question was, did this boy's conduct put the officers in any type of reasonable fear or apprehension of bodily injury? This boy puts a donut up against the officer's face, obviously making fun of them, that they're police officers, they like donuts, da-da-da-da-da. This was going on during a protest, so of course tensions were high. But ladies and gentlemen, this young man was not threatening in any way. In fact, there was nothing in his demeanor to suggest that he was any type of threat to the officer, which then makes the subsequent arrest of this young man unlawful. Unfortunately, it seems like egos were bruised, and that's the reason why they decided to arrest this young man. Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that the vast majority of officers are wonderful, law-abiding individuals. However, there are some bad apples, and they're the ones that gain all the attention. So there's no doubt that this was unjustifiable force when he arrested this young man. But this story gets a lot more interesting because this young man actually filed a lawsuit, which, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what you should do. Comply with the officers and then contact a lawyer like me, because we can get you a lot of money in the end. But what you don't want to do is get yourself shot or killed, or even worse, by not complying. This young man ended up filing a lawsuit. Of course, the charges were dropped by the prosecutors, but most importantly, The young man won his lawsuit, approximately $20,000, because this was unjustifiable force. Let's go to our next video. We're in the top 3.
Lawyer's reaction.
Hey, you ain't supposed to smack him like that. The fuck is wrong with you? Man, I'm on my property. You can't come over here and do nothing to me. Hey, you ain't got a search warrant. You can't come over here, man. Man. Hey, look, I got you all on camera right now. I'm on my private property. Hold on, man. Hold on. You're under? For what?
Another controversial video having to do with the police. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We have this bystander who's recording these activities, recording what's going on, and essentially calling out the officers for some sort of wrongdoing. This cameraman is saying, essentially, you cannot do that. You cannot treat him that way. And how do the officers respond? They respond by coming onto his property and treating him just the same way. So let's focus on what the law says, and this is why it's controversial. The law says that you can arrest a bystander that is interfering with any type of police activity. The reason why is that courts have ruled that an officer's safety, especially when they're in the middle of an active police activity, is paramount. Therefore, they have the ability to detain individuals for the officer's safety to ensure that they can carry out their police conduct without interference. But ladies and gentlemen, that also has to be weighed against the rights of the person who is being arrested. And when we look at that rights, we have also seen that courts have held that you can taunt an officer, you can call them names, you can give them the middle finger, you can swear, you can do any of those type of activities because it's covered by the First Amendment. It is still considered freedom of speech to be able to disagree with an officer. So you have to say, okay, were the officer's safety at risk, to allow yourself to then potentially say, hey, these First Amendment protections do not apply because you're putting the officers at risk? The answer, quite simply, ladies and gentlemen, is no. Of course not. Why? Because this man was on his porch. Not only was he several feet away from the officers, but there was actually a fence that was outlining his own private property, indicating that he was not a threat. And there was even a barrier that he would have to go through before he would even become a threat. Therefore, the officers entering into his private property in order to arrest him would be unjustifiable force. So absolutely, it would make these officers' conduct unjustifiable force, allowing this homeowner to sue. Here we go, our number 2 most viral video.
Lawyer's reaction.
This lady keeps stealing my mail.
I am actually. In fact, yes, taking the
You're taking my property.
Well, something's going on in there. Something's going on.
So it's the
No,
Amazon.
I'm taking the package.
It's my Amazon wish
Sir,
list.
I'm taking the package.
No, you're not taking
No,
my
I
package.
am-
That's
no,
my stuff.
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. Oh my God! You killed me.
I did not
You
spray
killed
you. You're
me.
fine.
Oh my God!
You sprayed me with whatever that stuff is.
It's one of my favorite videos of all time. Because the entitlement is amazing. It's like, I'm gonna check your mail because I know you are up to something. I know you're up to something. I know you're up to no good. Therefore, I'm gonna check out your mail. And then I love the exorcism at the end. That was awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, stealing, checking, taking, hiding, holding someone else's mail is a crime known as obstruction of correspondence, which absolutely makes this woman guilty. But ladies and gentlemen, there's an interesting part of this case that I was not able to talk about because the videos are so short. Did you know that it is completely unlawful to put something inside of someone else's mailbox? Yes, it is a federal crime to open up someone's mailbox and put a letter inside, put a note inside, put anything inside, because it's the act of opening the mailbox that is unlawful, ladies and gentlemen. Another thing I wasn't able to talk about in this video is whether or not this man committed a crime when he threw the box at her. Ladies and gentlemen, defensive property varies state by state, but the general rule is that you have a right to defend your property so long as you are not using lethal force. And it looks like this man decided to defend his property by throwing it at her because it did stop her from trying to take the property. It would also mean that most likely a court would find that he was not guilty under the concept of defense of property for throwing the box at her. And let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I highly doubt that she was injured. It seems like she was kind of putting on a show. Even her dog was embarrassed. Did you see the dog? Did you see the dog? Embarrassed. And here we've made it, ladies and gentlemen, to our final, most controversial, most viral video of 2023 and what we can learn from this video in 2024. And before we watch the video, I just want to say thank you all again for watching, and please be sure to hit that subscribe button if you learned anything in these videos. Now, I welcome friendly debate. So if there are any of these videos that you disagreed with, I welcome your thoughts on it. But keep in mind, the law is the law. So for this next video, remember, I'm just a lawyer. I'm not the person who wrote the law. You have to take that up with your politician. Here we go, our most viral and controversial video of last year.
Lawyer's reaction.
Okay, you guys, y'all tore me apart in the comments on this one. And again, I'm just the messenger. I'm just the messenger talking about the law. Okay, let's talk about it. So the law states that a fire department, when fighting an active fire, can use any source of water that is reasonable and necessary in order to fight the fire. So legally speaking, it means that the fire department was absolutely justified in using that pool water in order to fight this forest fire. But now here's the controversial part. Remember how we were talking about the Fifth Amendment a few videos ago? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the Fifth Amendment still applies here too, because once again, we're talking about a taking of private property for the purpose of government use. Yes, it is still technically considered a taking to take someone's pool water, and you're using it for government use, which is to put out the fire, which is the fire department's, government's, responsibility to do. So yes, technically, this is a taking under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, which means the homeowner has to be compensated for this. Now, many fire departments across the country, especially fire departments that deal with forest fires, have a mechanism that actually allows them to track how much private water they're taking from citizens, so that way they can reimburse them for that water later. Now, you guys, this is just the law. It is not an Ugo Lord requirement. It is a law requirement. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, it does make the fire department liable for all the damages that happen next. And yes, I would be happy for them to take my pool water. I would say, yes, take my pool water. Take the whole thing. Take the whole thing. Just save my house. Please save my house. Absolutely. I agree. Do not attack me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Those are the most viral and controversial videos from 2023. And I hope that it's taught you just a little bit of something in 2024, because these laws still apply, even if some of them are still working its way through the Supreme Court. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to subscribe. My name is Ugo Lord, and I love you guys. You're amazing. Happy New Year, and I'll see you soon.